Joined by the man who is still looking for his Big Ten championship hat from 2014. That was your thing. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah. Forget the rings and the T-shirts. It was all about the hat. And when I got the hat, I would sport it and just wear that until I got another one, which was the Sugar Bowl, and then it was the national championship hat, and that was like all I wore.
All right. The Buckeyes do not have a Big Ten championship hat.
Unfortunately,
that is okay, and that's what we're here to talk about. Buckeye Nation, it's a Monday. A lot of people are moving forward. We're also still thinking about Saturday night. Tyvis, let's just start how we always do. Initial reactions.
My initial reactions was they got exposed. It was things that happened in this game where I think it seems to me like Indiana came off as wanting it more. You know, you start that game off, the big hit on Fernando Mendoza, it was like we're going to set the tone. To see him bounce back and continue to fight, it seems like both teams started that game and wanted to establish the run game. As you can see, it was clear that both teams wanted to show that we were the more physical team. And then when it came down to it, I just thought that they made some better plays. Obviously, there are some plays that Ohio State would like to have back. Obviously, the Julian Sang play comes, the missed field goal at the end of 4th and 1, which 2 weeks in a row that Julian Sang went down early on the 4th and 1 on a quarterback sneak. So we got to get that cleared up. But ultimately, I think Indiana's defense did what Ohio State's defense has done to everybody that they're played. They caused confusion for the offensive line and for Julian Sang, and it was just overwhelming.
Okay, so I've read a lot of what the fan base has to say, and I've decided we're going to do this one a little differently. I'm going to present you with the fan base's concerns,
okay,
and you're going to either quell them or say, yeah, it's a valid concern.
Okay.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the idea that there is a lot of 12 and even 13 personnel being played by this Buckeye team when they get in the red zone. Is that a good thing for this team, or is taking the top 2 wide receivers in America off the field always going to hurt you?
It's always going to hurt you because I think, listen, as a defensive back, okay, I come out there, we break the huddle, boom. I see 12 personnel. That means that we're pretty much in base. 12 personnel means 1 running back, 2 tight ends, okay? That means that we need an extra linebacker out there. If I come out in that personnel and I see that Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate is not on the field and there's only 1 or none, as a defensive coordinator and as a defensive back, I'm thinking to myself, oh, thank you, right? Hallelujah, right? So I'm never a fan of that. You have to leave those 2 guys in there because they pose a threat. They cause confusion. They cause chaos. People are in a panic when they see 4 and 17 because as a DB, 1, you must know where 4 is. 4 eyes is going to be on 4. 2 players are going to account for number 4 in the red zone. 2 players are probably going to account for number 17 in the red zone. If that's the case, now we can even things out. Now you get the one-on-one mismatches with a tight end, or maybe you can run the ball because the box is lighter and things like that. So I am not a fan of them running the 12 personnel or 13 or 14 personnel in the red zone.
All right. The play calling. Obviously, there was a lot of distractions last week with this team. They had Brian Hartline. They had Chris Henry Jr. Mm-hmm. There's some talk out there that, Matt Patricia, people were talking to him, trying to get him to take a job. He's not going anywhere. All of that, how much do you think that played into what we saw? What seemed almost, I don't know if the word is discombobulated. That's a big word.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you. I don't know where I pulled that from. I read it in a dictionary last night. It felt discombobulated at times, what we saw from the Buckeyes.
I think that that's valid. I mean, you'd be naive to say that your 100% focus was on this game when there was so much other things that was going on. So it's impossible to say that you were 100% committed to this game. I think that last week was a wild week, but that's part of why the NCAA need to fix the calendar and all those other things, because there's teams that's competing, but yet you got outside distractions that's taking their focus off of it. And to me, it's making these conference championship games become meaningless.
Okay, so do you think that there should be conference championship games in the future? We saw Alabama get manhandled by Georgia and be impacted 0.
Yeah, no.
You done? I was a big proponent of it.
I was.
I'm
too.
out on it. I'm out.
Yeah, the Alabama thing to me kind of ruined it, because you're not going to sit there and tell me that we watched this team get boat raced by 21 points, and then you're going to tell me, oh, yeah, by the way, don't worry about that. They're still going to go to the CFP like that. I get that you don't want to punish teams for playing the extra game. Well, if that's the case, then why are we playing the extra game? We could go back to just the old school style of They had the best record. They are the Big Ten or SEC or whatever champions. And we can leave it at that because it's no punishment or consequence. Unless you're BYU. BYU got kicked completely out of the thing. Maybe that's the whole thing of it all. But to me, I think it's meaningless. I feel like Alabama should have been out and maybe Notre Dame should have been in. That's just the thing that I thought.
Okay. With Ohio State, it really doesn't matter what happened. I mean, there's an argument out there that they got a better draw because of the loss. I mean, you got Texas A&M, Miami, and then you were going to have to play Georgia in theory one way or another. Might as well play them in the semifinal and get your rematch with Indiana in the championship.
All Big Ten championship coming soon.
Are they? That is very accurate. I think. I mean, it's pretty much a lock at this point, and you can clip me out. It's
whether it's Oregon or Indiana, I think
the Big Ten's coming out of that side.
I would think so.
And then I think
unless Texas Tech pulls a shocker, which is possible.
And then you have the best team in the country on the other side in Ohio State.
Correct.
Do you still think this Buckeye team is the best team in the country? And do you think that if they're playing their best, they are without a doubt going to win the national title?
Yeah, I definitely think that they are the best. I mean, listen, they just lost to now the new number one team in the country by 3 points, and they play absolutely terribly offensively. You mean to tell me that you can perform that bad and the number one team in the country now only is 3 points better than you? How is that not the best team in the country? I mean, if they're going to do some film work, it was great to have this game happen now. Now you have things to look at on the tape, things to fix, to adjust, answer some questions when you get that test again because it's going to come. Now, Indiana pretty much tried to lay out a blueprint of how to beat Ohio State. And if their D-lines, you think about Miami, Texas A&M, Georgia, all the teams that they're facing will have good defensive line play. This offensive line will now have to figure out the confusions, the twists, the stunts, all of those things to be able to pick them up on a high level, and they're going to do it against some really good talent. If they can continue, if they can do that, and that offense goes back to scoring points, there's nobody that can beat this team.
So you think that we looked at the right side of that offensive line all season long. Do you think if they can shore that up for the playoffs, that Ohio State is in the best case scenario? And also, I'll leave to you, Julian, and how he played in that game. I think he would argue that that was one of his weaker games of the season, maybe the weakest. How do you think he grows from that?
Well, I think that one, you saw the youth, I figured that going up against our own defense, not in the season because you barely go against your own defense in the season, but in that training camp leading up to the season, I thought he would see all of Matt Patricia's crazy disguise and be able to dissect what was going on from that. And I thought that would make him prepare for the season. I thought that if you go up against that every day and you can figure out where to go or figure out what coverage they're in from that, nobody should be able to bother you. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case. And I think for Julian, I think he's going to spend a ton of time going back to watch this Indiana tape and say, what did I miss? Who is the guy? We need to find the guy because there is somebody every play on defense. I don't care what the disguise is. I've played DB before. They always say that the disguise cannot mess up your coverage. You have a job responsibility, and you cannot hold the disguise if you're not going to get to your job. So with that being said, there's always going to be somebody that's going to have a disguise that's going to panic and get out early. Find out who that guy is because he'll tell you what coverage they're in earlier, and you'll be able to go through your progressions a little bit quicker.
All right. Biggest concern for the Buckeyes over the next 27 or 24 days now? Are there any concerns about this layoff and this bye? We saw every team that got a bye last year lose.
Yes.
So how do you handle that?
Well, I think that, one, this is the same fashion that they lost to the team up north last year. So if that's the case, whatever they did last year after the team up north lost, obviously it was a team meeting where everybody got to say how they felt, and it was the best thing that happened to this program. They came out and they never looked back. They need to have that same type of magic happen again if they want to go on a run because you're getting asked to do the same thing that you did last year, and you lost in the same similar fashion that you did last year. So whatever that recipe is, that's the one that they need to go lean on heavily. Good news is a lot of these players that we're counting on was in that meeting and was a part of that last year and played a little part in why we were able to win it all. So I think for me, that's what I'm leaning on. Get your mind right. Figure out what was going on. Let's go out there and let's dominate and not look back.
I will say I loved the post game of Saturday. Being in that room with the guys, talking to the guys, seeing their mindset on Saturday night, it took what was a bit of worry worry's a strong word, a bit of what in the world was that?
Yeah.
And turned it into, okay, these guys clearly understand what's to come here, what they need to do. Brandon Ennis said that he and Caleb Downs stepped up in the locker room and said, hey, we've been here before, let's go do it again. Luke Montgomery said it's not going to happen again. We're going to go out there and win a national title. That's the mindset you wanted to see from this team. We absolutely got to see it. How do you, if I'm going to hand you the planning for the next 3 weeks, how do you get ready for two different teams? Are you scouting both? Obviously, they have a scouting department that's focused on those. But as a head coach and as assistants, are you at any point looking into okay, let's see what Texas A&M has, let's see what Miami has? Or are you just, once you know, and you're going?
So right now in the phase that they're in, how I would handle this first week is I would focus on fundamentals. The reason why I would focus on fundamentals is because as a season progresses, fundamentals go by the wayside. People just continue to not do the little things anymore. You have to make it important that these guys have to be so locked into the little things, because that right now can be the difference in the game. So for this first week, it would be all about making sure our fundamentals is great. The second and third week, 1 week I will focus on Texas A&M. The next week I will focus on Miami. Whoever wins that game, let's go. Okay.
And then when you just kind of throw out the window on the other team, or maybe you're really good at beating them next year. Who knows? You never.
Yeah, you split it in half. However many days is left after that week of fundamentals, split it in half. Half of it goes to Miami, half of it goes to Texas A&M. Obviously, when you get that game against them, you'll get that full week of preparation, knowing who you'll be playing, and we'll go from there.
Okay. One team in the bracket other than Ohio State that you think matches up best with the Buckeyes?
I like the way Georgia's playing right now. Georgia's playing some really good football. It seems like they figured some things out offensively. Defensively, we already knew that they will always be a really good team. But, Gunner seems like he figured out how to play quarterback at a high level, and those weapons are starting to really show up for him. So Georgia's the team to look out for.
All right, he is Tyvis Powell, going to join us every Monday all the way through the championship chase. We got a lot to talk about. We could have gone an hour today, but I thought we got to space this out over the next, 23 days?
The Buckeyes, to me, there's two things that they have to fix before we get to that game. Offensive line play, secondary has to make some plays. I know Lorenzo
Styles.
That quick.
What? I thought it was going to be one, and then you were going to talk. And then two. You said offensive line play, and then you jumped right
offensive
in.
Line play.
I was trying to count it out for you.
Well, I'm glad you could count.
Thank you. Well, I know the word. What did I say earlier? I don't even remember.
Discombobulated.
See,
there you go.
I can count and say that.
Well, yeah, offensive line play. They fixed the twist and the stunts, and they figure out that right guard spot. I think we'll be good in that department. And the secondary, they have to make some plays. I think that they've gotten away with it. It was good to have this type of game because they have not really got tested in the by wide receivers since Illinois game. I think that it should have been Rutgers, but the pass rush was so good that it kind of got away from them. To see the ball in the air and actually play the ball, I would say Illinois was probably the last time they had a challenge. So it's good to go up against these receivers. They had a guy this Becker guy came out of nowhere, Charlie Becker. I didn't even know who he was. I do now.
I know who he is now.
So you got to think, if you're going to see this Indiana team again, they did not have Omar Cooper Jr., their best wide receiver in this game. He got knocked out. So when you see them again, they will have a trio of guys, and this secondary has to make plays.
I just want to say one thing. For everybody that's coming after Jermaine Matthews, I understand he had a bad game, probably his worst game since he's been at Ohio State. Probably. He would admit that to you. I will say on the sideline a lot, he was working on fundamentals like in the game when they would be in the breaks.
Yeah.
I was watching that. They gave up 13 points. 13 to the number one scoring offense in the entire country. They gave up 13 points. And
it's life as a DB.
And you're trying to pin it on the defense?
Life as a DB.
They gave up 13. They gave up one touchdown. And mind you, it was an unbelievable throw and placement by Mendoza.
It's one of the hardest routes to cover. That slot fade, it's a lot of room on.
And everywhere I see people are like, Jermaine Matthews needs to get it figured out. Listen, Tyvis Powell is very good. You think you could have stopped that?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the right answer. He is Tyvis Powell. We'll see him back here next Monday breaking down the Buckeyes. Eventually, we will have an opponent to look at as well.